Hey y'all, it's Possum Breath, but you can call me PB for short. It's finally time for part 1 of Sage Clan, the third clan of 4 in my clan generator challenge. I'm dividing this video into 2 parts because Sage Clan is by far the largest of the generated clans. This part will cover the general clan lore, the leader, the deputy and medicine cat, and the warriors. I will also be referencing lore from the other clans I've already created, so if you start to feel a little lost, I'd recommend going and watching those other videos first. Also, I apologize if my voice sounds a little off. I've had a really bad sore throat for the past couple days, so sorry about that. As always, when designing Sage Clan, I started with deciding on an overall theme for them as a group. Their descriptor as given by the generator is striking and versatile, which are both great words. I decided to interpret striking as both physically attractive and socially aggressive. These are cats who strike when the iron is hot, as the saying goes. If they want something, they go after it. Meanwhile, I decided that versatile meant that they are a clan of opposites and multifaceted personalities. That could mean a lot of different things though, so I further narrowed it down to the concept of fighter poets. Some are more fighter and some are more poet, but all of them are a little of both. This also made me think of theater, masks, and performance, particularly more classical Shakespearean work. These are cats who can be two-faced, who are bold and dramatic, but also secretive and cunning. As a clan and as individuals, they are larger than life. In the story, they are essentially ThunderClan, but if ThunderClan were the antagonists. Everything seems to go right for them, and as far as they're concerned, they're the main characters, and the other 3 clans are there to fill out the background. This is also the clan where I really started changing names and bending descriptions. A lot of the names the original generator gave me were doubles with names in the other clans, so I went ahead and edited them. You can see which names I changed in red. I also changed coat colors because I noticed the generator just never gave me certain coat colors or patterns, and I wanted to draw them anyway. If I have to draw 4 clans of cats, I want them to be distinct and interesting, and that means straying from the generator a little and using it as a springboard. Sage Clan is, at present, the clan in the best position of the 4. Their territory extends from the top of the ridge in the back of the territories all the way down to the edge of the thick trees where Bay Clan lives. Most of their territory is grassy, with scattered bushes and trees and ample access to a prey population of birds and small mammals. The leaf bear sickness that decimated Bush Clan completely passed Sage Clan by. They are flourishing, and this is part of the justification for their expansion. They have twice as many mouths to feed as the other clans. It's only fair they have more territory to hunt. Most notably, their territory includes the Moon Spring where the clans commune with their warrior ancestors, as well as the entire length of the stream that leads up to it. Originally, this stream marked the border where their territory met Bush Clans, but Bush Clan's weakened state allowed Sage Clan to push the borders further. Now every clan has to walk up along the stream through Sage Clan's territory to speak with Star Clan. And while Sage Clan allows this, they make it clear this is a privilege and not a right. So long as the other clans acknowledge how generous Sage Clan is being, they can continue to treat the banks of the stream as neutral ground. Sage Clan has a rich tradition of storytelling. Part of the reason they are so full of themselves is that they have built up over generations a rich mythos surrounding their clan history. How much of it's true is anyone's guess, but if you ask a Sage Clan cat, they'll insist it's all completely accurate. History is written by the victors, as they say, and Sage Clan has a habit of reframing events to cast themselves in a good light wherever they can. More than other clans, they tend to name their kits after respected ancestors or mythological figures, and focus on bloodline and tradition. They also consider themselves closest to Star Clan. Of course they ought to be responsible for the Moon Spring. Star Clan keeps bringing them good fortune and blessings while the other clans struggle, so clearly Star Clan improves of them the most. They are the closest this story has to villains, though not every cat in Sage Clan can be called evil or even malicious. It's more fair to say they're antagonists. They pose the most direct threat to Bush Clan and have the most reason to not want Bush Clan to recover. Then Bush Clan might want their territory back, and it would be so unfortunate if that led to a war, wouldn't it? They also tend toward decorating their pelts more than the other clans. It's common for all cats in Sage Clan to decorate themselves with flowers and leaves and feathers and whatever else strikes their fancy, not just the medicine cat. They consider it a sign of their prosperity. They have so much abundant greenery and so much feathered prey that they can afford to use some of it for purely cosmetic reasons rather than only for medicine or nest building. This is something I decided halfway through drawing them, so you won't see the decorations in many of the speed paints, but all the finished artwork will have them. Color-wise, I decided to unify them with purple and orange. Purple is the color of royalty, and both purple and orange are bright and in-your-face colors that are particularly striking in combination. These cats like to make a statement. Their leader, Chantrelle Star, is a great example of this. She is a fairly young leader, the youngest of the current 4, and is behind SageClan's recent prosperity and expansion. She took over after her father Tansy Star lost his last life to the mountain lion I've mentioned in previous videos. Chantrelle Star is ambitious, clever, and an excellent speaker. She can spin any conversation in her favor, and if that fails, she's a formidable fighter. She's small, but she's stocky, with oversized fangs and claws that mirror her oversized ego. As far as she's concerned, she's the best leader in the territories, and all she's doing is what makes the most logical sense. Her clan is the best, they deserve the most territory, and if they can take it, then why shouldn't they? Her name, Chantrelle, is a type of mushroom. You can see I tried to mirror its shape in her neck, fur, and tail, although I later went back and made her neck ruff a little bit more reasonable in size. I also gave her lion-like features to make her seem both queenly and predatory. She certainly thinks of herself like a big cat, and it's definitely part of SageClan lore that Chantrelle Star's family line traces back to true lions. This is part of their justification for keeping leadership more or less just in the family. It's in their blood, and clearly they're doing a good job considering what a good position SageClan is in. As a leader, she is more respected and feared than she is loved, but no one in SageClan can deny that she's a gifted strategist and warrior. As long as she continues to lead SageClan to dominance and prosperity, she can count on the support of her clan. Thistlepelt is her deputy, and a brilliant strategist he is not. Part of Chantrelle Star's strategy for ensuring that very little would stand in her way was to appoint a deputy who would simply agree with anything she said. Thistlepelt is not the smartest, but he's endlessly energetic and charismatic. He is a prime example of a himbo, outgoing, strong, but with not a single thought in his head. The upside to this is that he cannot be malicious, he simply is not capable of it. He is straightforward and sincere, and assumes that everyone else is too. He believes strongly in the rules of the code and would defend them with an uncomplicated certainty. If Chantrelle Star is the queen, then Thistlepelt is her loyal captain of the guard. While it's possible that Chantrelle Star's untimely death could put Thistlepelt and therefore a different bloodline into the leadership role, Chantrelle Star is confident he'll bumble his way into getting killed long before she loses her 9 lives. Then she'll be free to appoint one of her own kits who should be a full warrior by then. It's all nice and neat. Like Chantrelle Star, Thistlepelt has a bloodline that traces far back in the clan mythology. They are considered the best storytellers and keepers of clan history, and many of the clan's medicine cats, including the current one, are from their line. Thistlepelt has inherited this particular knack for storytelling, and all the younger cats in the clan love to listen to him when he recounts the most popular clan tales. Olive Nose is Thistlepelt's sister and the current medicine cat. She took over the role from her aunt Moongaze when Moongaze retired, and is currently training an apprentice herself. She has no plans to retire anytime soon. It's more that SageClan keeps expanding, and soon they'll need more than one active, fully trained medicine cat. Olive Nose has all of the brain cells that Thistlepelt lacks. She is incredibly smart and insightful, though like her brother she has a flair for the dramatic. Every herb and remedy comes with a story. It makes them easier to remember. She is also incredibly proud of her brother for being made deputy, and deep down hopes that eventually this will put their family line in both the leader and medicine cat roles permanently, giving them complete dominance over the clan. Along with a respect for her ancestors, Olive Nose also thinks a lot about the future, and particularly about her own legacy. She hopes to be one of the cats that kittens years and years down the line hear stories about, and that Olive will become one of the names passed down through generations. Since she can't have kits of her own, this is how she intends to make a lasting mark on history. Barkspine is one of the older warriors. Unlike many of the other cats in his clan, he doesn't have a particularly big presence or personality. There's a lot going on in his head, but you don't often see it. Occasionally he'll make an offhand remark, and you'll realize not only has he been paying attention, but he's also 2 steps ahead of most everyone else. If things had shaken out differently, he would have made a great leader. He prefers the role of patrol guy to politics, though. He has a reputation for being steady and unshakable even in a crisis, so a lot of tasks get given to him because it's assumed he can handle anything that might go wrong. His suffix, spine, is a tongue-in-cheek joke about how he's essentially carrying the rest of the clan on his back and has been since he was still an apprentice. Not being in the spotlight also allows him to spend more time with his mate, Sootstripe, and their kits. One of their litters has already been made warriors, and the next is getting close to ready to leave the nursery and begin their apprenticeship. Like many cats in Sage Clan, he dreams of a long history and renowned family line, and one of the best ways to make that happen is to have a lot of kids. He doesn't play favorites though. He encourages all of his kits equally, and genuinely wants all of them to succeed. Family is not just a legacy to him, it's also his whole world, and he'd do anything for his mate and children. Spiderstorm is Barkspine's brother, and has always overshadowed Barkspine a little. Not only is he just bigger because of all that fluff, but his personality is also much louder. He has an opinion about everything, and he will make sure that you know it. He is Chantrelle Star's mate, and she likes him because he has enough energy and wit to keep up with her while still supporting every decision she makes. If anyone says anything bad about Chantrelle Star, they'll have to deal with Spiderstorm breathing down their neck. He has fully bought into her philosophy that Sage Clan is the best clan, favored by Star Clan and wholly deserving of all the good fortune they've had. To tie his name in, I gave him spots on his face reminiscent of spider eyes. You'll notice there's 8 of them. There's also a spider body and legs in the stripes on his back. In some spider species, the male will be eaten by the female after mating, and I thought that fit very well with how Spiderstorm would metaphorically let Chantrelle Star chew him up and spit him out if it served her goals. He would die for her, and she's willing to hold him to that if it comes to it. Cats often wonder why she didn't just make him deputy instead since he's so clearly loyal to her, but Chantrelle Star maintains that politics and romance are best kept separate. Plus, she knows that Spiderstorm has his own ambitious streak, and she'll only allow him so much power to make sure it doesn't go to his head. Blackbriar is one of Barkspine's adult kits. Unlike his father, he isn't content with simply being the patrol guy. He thinks he's owed more. He thinks he should have been made deputy instead of Thistlepelt, and deeply resents the other cat for being chosen. As far as Blackbriar is concerned, he's smarter, stronger, and just all around better than that big fluffy idiot. He's also perceptive enough to know exactly why Chantrelle Star chose Thistlepelt. For this reason, he is vocally supportive of Chantrelle Star and always follows his Uncle Spiderstorm's lead when it comes to talking her up. He figures if he displays enough loyalty, maybe she'll come to recognize his skills and give him more power within the clan. In his wildest dreams, he hopes that Chantrelle Star will replace Thistlepelt with him outright, but he knows that's not likely to ever happen. Still, shoot for the moon and you'll land among the stars, right? I struggled with Blackbriar's design a lot. I completed him, realized I hated his eyes, and went back and changed them, but something still didn't seem right. I decided to give him the hornet paw treatment and completely redraw him, and I think that was the right decision. His character changed the most as I worked on him. Originally, I envisioned him as a Gaston type, but as I drew him, he started to take on a much more unhappy sort of vibe. That's what gave me the idea to make him a frustrated supporting character instead. He yearns for the spotlight and simply can't seem to actually worm his way into a leading role. His original design was unfocused and weak because I wasn't sure of his character going into it, but the second came out much better because I had a much clearer picture of what I wanted him to be. Slugleg is Blackbriar's littermate and sister. What Blackbriar has to work hard to do, Slugleg does effortlessly. She's a strong, quiet presence that naturally makes other cats look to her as a leader. She doesn't feel the need to fawn or ingratiate herself to those up the ranks. Rather, she lets her actions speak for themselves and is naturally rewarded for it. She was given an apprentice before Blackbriar was, and more than that was entrusted with mentoring one of Chantrelle Star's kits, a high honor that Blackbriar wasn't even considered for. She's also generally agreed to be one of the more attractive cats in the clan due to her unique patterning, and she doesn't wear decorations because she believes her coat speaks for itself. You'll notice I tried to make the big light patch on her back and down her front leg look a little bit like a slug to tie into her name. She and Thistlepelt had a brief fling, but never officially became mates despite having a kit together. Thistlepelt was ultimately too energetic for Slugleg, who prefers to take things slow and enjoy the beauty of the world around her. Their relationship at present is amiable, but distant. While she's quiet and low energy most of the time, Slugleg is another of the clan's most talented storytellers. She will do voices, act out battle scenes, and put on a one-cat show. Essentially, she becomes a whole different cat when she's on stage. She has a knack for impressions, and while she won't directly insult other cats, she will make her feelings about them plain in how she imitates them. Fireberry loves to make an entrance. She is one of the cats who most loves to decorate her pelt, and tends to go for huge statement pieces. Here I drew her with lupin flowers. They're common in the area of California I'm very loosely basing these territories on, and they're also huge and striking to look at. They're so big she has to help them stick in her coat with cobwebs and sap, but it's worth it for the end result. Fireberry is the design where I first really conceptualized the idea that many of the cats in this clan would wear decorations, and it's after I drew her that I went back and added them to the others. Like her name implies, Fireberry is both spicy and sweet. She's always the first into a fight, but also spends the longest time out of any cat in the clan grooming her pelt. She's incredibly braggy and self-satisfied. She's one of those cats who will go on and on about how you wouldn't want to get in a fight with her because she'll definitely win. She's so strong and fast, and one time she single-handedly fought a coyote and won, you know, so what chance do you have? She also adores her single kit, Russet Paw, and when she's not bragging about herself, she's bragging about Russet Paw instead. She doesn't mean to put other cats down, she just genuinely thinks that her kit is the best apprentice and destined for great things. Unlike other cats in the clan, Fireberry has no long and important lineage, so she hopes that Russet Paw is the second generation and a brand new one. Burnt Feather is Fireberry's mate. He is a massive wife guy and thinks she hung the moon. They are that couple that is always together, always in agreement, basically a single entity. Burnt Feather is also the one who helps Fireberry with her extravagant decorations, and in general, he's considered one of the best cats in the clan at affixing adornments to fur. You can often tell how Burnt Feather is feeling based on how he's decorated himself, though the daisies and hawk feathers I've drawn him with are his signature look. If Fireberry is basically all fighter, then Burnt Feather is basically all poet. Like all warrior cats, he was trained to fight and can if he needs to, but he doesn't like to. He prefers to collect pretty trinkets and wax poetic about the nature of beauty. He has a particular love for metaphor, which means half the time he has to say things twice because the first time he says it in a way that absolutely nobody but him understands. Only Fireberry seems to intuitively understand the way Burnt Feather thinks, and in that way they're a perfect pair. I changed Burnt Feather massively from what the generator gave me. I changed his name, as both the original prefix and suffix were already taken by other cats, and I also changed his pelt. By this point, I was pretty burnt out on tabby cats and wanted to color a different coat pattern. So I took the general colors the generator gave me and made him a point cat instead. This is where I got his new name. The point markings in that particular coloration kind of made him look like he was singed at the extremities. And that's all the cats in the first half. Next time we'll meet the apprentices, queens, and elders. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and hit subscribe so you'll be able to see when part 2 comes out. And if you don't want to wait for more kitty cat content, I have a whole playlist of other clans I've made as part of this challenge for you to go check out. Thanks so much for watching and see you next time.